Hello everybody and welcome to How Hard Can It Be? I'm Phil Murphy and I have a boat. Not just any old boat, a Nauticus 27 foot. I also have a little boat over there called the Blue Missile, which we shall discuss later because we do have some news. Now, what am I doing? As you can see, I am behind a counter of electrical gear. And some of this is now going to go on the boat, and I shall show you what I have done, and I will also show you on the other side how I got to put these on, because there is a good method. And obviously when you're drilling holes into boats and water, you want to avoid leaks. So if you could pan up there, John. As you can see, we've got some nice little lights going on up there. Nice and neat. They shall reflect down onto this little platform, so if by a remote chance we want to walk along there at night, which I'm definitely not going to do, and John is definitely not going to do, because there will be a big splash. Don't they look nice? What do you think? I think they look good.
Yeah.
Navigational wise, we have navigation, the red side being on this side, I think that's correct, and the green side on the other side. Port and starboard, still haven't got my head around that yet, but anyway. So I have put the two on the other side, and I'm going to show you with the final one how I've put it on, because these things here up there they do need to be flush with the boat, otherwise you're going to have it bowing and you're going to get leaks, or you're going to have to start sticking silicone in it and all sorts of stuff. So the episode is going to involve doing the electrical work on the outside, putting your windscreen on up on the top, and then after that we need to start putting the ply on the inside of the boat, because as I've just realised, we can't start putting the windows in until we've got the ply on the inside, so we can get the depth of the ply and the fiberglass and the windows, figure out which claim right we need, and then we can get the right correct ones, and then we can start putting the windows in. So we've got some good work to do. I'm looking forward to doing it. So let's go around the other side and I'll show you the final one being installed. Come on. Okay, so there we go. I've got a pilot hole. I measured about 1 inch, and the reason for that is because I did the rest over on the other side, and I basically want that to go roughly about there, like so. So there's a little chrome cover that covers the screws, etc., that goes on top of there like that. Now, pilot hole is already there, but if you can see the back of one of these, it's basically plastic, the red and the black wire, and then it's sealed completely, so then obviously moisture doesn't get into it. Now the downside is, of course, there's a bit of a gap. You can't tweak them together and get them in a small hole, so I'm having to drill a slightly bigger hole with a 5.5, I think that is. It's a 5. So I basically did that. I sort of put that against there, and then I now know that I can get those two wires in the hole drilled by that. So I'm going to basically drill that now. I used a very small bit to drill the first one. Just get rid of that. It's not rocket science, it's quite easy really. Okay. So now I'm just going to check, make sure that they go in, and they do. So that's the first bit done. But as you can see, it won't fit flush. So this is where I decided, rather than drilling an even bigger hole to cater for that gap there, I decided to countersink it. Now the bonus of countersinking it, as you will see, is once I've done this, you get a perfect hole, like so, but because it's angled downwards, if there's ever any water gets in, it's not going in that hole. It's going to hit that lip and it's going to come out.
Genius.
I know. Plus, that fits very neatly, like so. See? Nice and flush, can't see it. So all I need to do now is to revert back to a little pilot. At no point have I actually measured the straightness of anything. I've just used my eye and I'm using that as a parallel against that. I'm not being over critical, although I do feel like I have got a decent eye anyway. So I just basically make a parallel with that and that, which I think I'm happy with, like so. Make a tiny indentation in the center and one there. Remove that. And basically that's the end of the drilling side of it. So put that back in there. Now you can see the actual light strip that would light up. The idea of this is to have this, that's going to be shining up, so I want it to shine down, so then it hits this or casts a light band over where you're wanting to walk. And then I'm going to bought a set of multiple sized stainless steel screws from eBay. And because the pilot hole is slightly smaller than the screw itself, this bites nicely into the fiberglass. Now, these aren't going to be, I'm not putting these in permanently yet because I've still got a bit of work to do. I just want to get these things in place so then the wires etc on the other side can be sorted. I'm not putting these in fully and just yet. I can pull them out. I want to just address some of the paint. There's a bit of buffing I need to do, or a bit of flatting on these edges here. So for now, that's quite firm anyway. And you just put that on top of there, and voila! There you have it. One nice light. So it's quite simple, but that to me is a great tool for this boat because it not only gives the angle for the water to fall off, it just saves you having to silicone and permanently stick it just in case something breaks on it. You're not ripping everything off. So there we go. So the next
Carry on.
yeah, I'm just thinking, has he finished or is he?
No.
I thought you were wandering off then.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
the next bit, I now need to restore the horn, and I also need to restore the spotlight. so because they are going on the top. And then of course, as you can see from the angle you can see it now, you can see that this stainless steel has got paint on it and all sorts. Because it's stainless steel, wow wool, that'll bring it up like brand spanking new, apart from these brackets, which I will have to paint in something. So that is the next stage. Once we get them on there and the windshield on there, we can then start putting the panels on the inside. And that's all going to happen in this episode. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're back to my electrical store, and basically I've got the spotlight that I'm going to dismantle, clean up, and hopefully this is going to work. If it doesn't, I'll have to buy a new one, but it's a nice stainless steel one, and I think it's probably an original one from when the boat was built, so I think it's worth restoring. So that's going to go home with me tonight, and I'm going to dismantle it. I've already started to dismantle the horn, so that is in bits. I'm hoping that this is going to work. There's no real pitting with it, it's quite nice, so I'm going to give that a clean up and restore that, because ultimately they have got to be fitted on the top of the boat. So there we go. So I've got a bit of work to do. When you see these will all be done, and then we'll start installing them. So for now, I shall start cleaning up. So I'll see you later. Bye for now. Okay, as you can see, we have a rough 8x4 sheet of oak ply. This is 4mm thick, and I have basically roughly put it into place. And how I found the easiest way for me was to do the following thing, and that was using my trusty lining paper, as I always use, because it's never let me down yet, and basically cut 6-inch strips of paper into smallish sections and followed the contour of this upper section. Now the originals, which may be shown on number 1 episode, maybe 2, you would have noticed that there was a gap, this overlaying the actual roof lining that we've still got to put on. And by the way, we've got to put these roof linings up at the same time as doing these, so it's going to be really an all-in-one task, because we've got to tuck the roof liner beyond this section here. So really this needs to go on next, but there's no reason why we can't cut everything out. So how I got the shape of what you're looking at and the depth is I cut some lining paper into sections, the width of the paper actually, and I angled each one, and I used masking tape to roughly create a shape all the way around. Now this one actually is for that side over there, and you'll see what I mean. Where is it? There we go. You can see that roughly follows the contour of it. You'll notice that there is writing and numbers on it. So how I got the depth was I measured, once this was stuck in place, and it goes all the way along the insulation section.
Sorry, just need to show this. Okay.
So as I stuck this all the way along to about roughly the 8-foot section, you'll notice that there is, say for example, 64. That's 64 centimeters. So from the top of here to this base here, basically the whole of the ply will obviously go to the bottom of here, is 64 centimeters. And there, you'll notice it's 58.5 centimeters. So all the way along the 8-foot length, you will see various sizes. So once I place this on the 8-foot by 4-foot sheet, which you will see, it gives me a guide on the depth as we go along. And that's how we've created what we've created here. And I haven't cut and retrimmed. That's exactly as it was. There is going to be a bracket, sorry, not a bracket, an L-shaped oak bead that goes along there all the way along, so it doesn't necessarily have to be totally accurate. It could be slightly up, which is what you can see there, but I'm pleased with the overall effect that we'll have. So that's what we've got. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take out the shape of the windows there and there, and we'll see how it looks, and then we'll then continue on with the next step. So that's what we're going to do. Should we get on with it? I think so. One more clamp. Oh, still one more clamp. By the way, these little clamps, I got these from B&Q. I got those from B&Q, really small but ideal for the job, because without these I don't think I could have done this job, especially without John being around. So yeah, they're great. I can't remember how much they are, but I think they're about £3 or £4 each. So little clamps, always useful. Okay, so it's face down. I don't know whether the camera picks up this very faint line of the shape of the window that we've got to take out. This is obviously the waist, and this all round here is going to be the bit that stays, and then you've got that final section there that needs to be taken out. So put a fine blade in the jig. Hopefully there won't be too much spelching on the other side, fingers crossed. It will be covered by the gasket that will be on the window, so all being well we should be good to go. So I'm just going to cut this one out first, because obviously it's the end and I can just go straight into it rather than drilling in a hole over there. So I'll get going. Okay, that really cut well, that. Okay, hopefully, I'll tell on this piece actually. Yeah, that's cut really well. I mean, this is obviously the waist, but spelching wise there's been none at all, so happy days. We shall drill a hole in this one, and then we'll obviously cut that out, and then we'll take it on the boat and we'll see what it looks like. Right, are we on?
Let's go.
Right, okay, so we've cut it, put it on board, and I was going to say beautiful assistant, but to be honest, he's not. He looks like fucking Shakespeare, doesn't he? But there we go. Right, let's go.
Whoa. Got the flappy end.
You got the flappy end. Good. So I should be able to tuck in. You shouldn't be that far away.
Absolutely spot on.
Right, well, in that case, put a clamp on it. Small grabbing ones would be better, really.
Don't too tight, you know. You don't want to make an indentation.
Yeah, funny lad.
Yeah.
I just need to use them actually. Bish bash bosh. Look at that. Well, actually, quite happy with that. Do I need one there just to show it's...
Perfect. So that's what it's going to look like, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to oil it?
I'm going to do exactly what I did with that. Yeah, to bring it to the same colour.
Yeah. Good job there.
Yeah, I think that's from a distance. Let me have a look from the... Yeah, that's good. Blends in nicely, that, doesn't it?
Yeah, look at the camera.
So all that remains to be done once I have got the rest of them done, remains to be seen how far I take the next one, to be honest, because obviously you've got your bathroom at some point. So I'll have to decide how far, but... So I'll have to drill holes where the lights are going. There's going to be a light there. We need to make provisions hole-wise for lights before the whole thing gets fixed on. But clamped up, if I get the other side done, and then I get those two clamped up as well, it gives us an idea. We can drill everything into position, and then once we know for certain that there's nothing we need to do to these, then we can start properly fixing it. But for the first one, I'm well chuffed with that. It's looking good. So let's hope this lot go the same way, and you will see that lot done. I'm not going to bore you with doing those because you know the dance, you know exactly what we have to do with the rest of them. So I shall plough on and I will see you later. Of course, we've still got this to do. Oh, by the way, the next little bit, I forgot, thank you, John,
Yes.
is I've already I haven't pilot holed, I've marked out the hatch, and we shall now chat about the brackets, because the brackets have been a bit of a devil to sort out, as most things on this boat, but we have solved it, and I shall show you. Right, welcome to the upper section. It's time to put the hatch on as well, so that's what I'm going to do also. Now, problem as usual with various things, fixings and what have you. The original fixings that were on here weren't the original fixings actually. They were a make do, and they didn't work properly, and we ended up with cracking and all sorts going on and leaking. So obviously I could not use those again, and I've decided that the only way to be successful in doing what I want to do is to have something like this. Stainless steel, obviously, 316 grade, I think it is, from memory. Obviously, we haven't got the shape. I mean, you could in effect go like that and like that, but of course, if you bend that over slightly, it still wouldn't be right, and I'm sure it would split and what have you. So, to get over that, I decided that the best way to sort that little problem out is to turn them round and use the long side and bend it, so then there is no stress. We can screw into there, we can screw into there. Those two holes are not going to interfere with that hole. It's solid inside here. And of course this, there's no stress or anything on that joint there. And that is fully flat. And once I get a rubber gasket to go underneath there, they are going to look pretty good, don't you think?
How did you do it?
Well, I basically got this one, and it was an accident in all fairness. I bought these for the cupboards and brackets for inside, and then when I brought them up here, it just so happens that the width of it was the width of this. So I thought, oh, I wonder if I draw a pencil line where the bend is, put it in the vise with a cloth round it so I didn't damage the stainless steel on the outer edge, because it's nicely chromed. Well, it's not chromed, I don't know what it is, but it's nice finish anyway. And I bent it round sufficiently to the contours of the actual hatch, and that's what I ended up with, and I think that works really well. The only thing I have to do is I need to put underneath here a nice bit of rubber, so then it's not touching the paintwork. I think that one's that one actually, but anyway, you get the picture. But that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
The dogs.
The dogs, yes. So there we are. That's going to get screwed into place as a temporary measure to start with, but we want to start getting as much as we can on, so then there's not much lying around. Everything will get tightened down and sealed properly, etc. That's better. Like so. You can see that I've put some dots there, which I'm going to pilot hole those. I will screw these into position, but I will bolt these into position because obviously I don't want them to come adrift. And I'll put a bit of sealant around them, etc. so then it's got a nice watertight seal. So that's what I'm going to do also in this episode. And you will see the final article once I've finished it. So I'll get on with it. Before we move on to the Nauticus 27 foot, I did promise that we'd mention the Blue Missile. And somebody has very kindly contacted me and given me some more information on this boat. So we now know what its model name was, and that is, it was called a Shakespeare Starfire. Inboard engine, and they were produced between 1966 and 1969. Quite a rare model from all accounts, being an inboard engine. They were available in the 120 horsepower and the 140 horsepower model, which was the Alpha engine, sorry, not the Alpha engine, the Renault engine version, which is the part that's the rare bit, which is the Renault engine in conjunction with the outdrive, which was pre-Alpha 1. From what I can gather from this this person is that there is a classic motor club called the CMBA, which is Classic Motor Boat Association. They have a website in the UK, and they have quite a number of this type of boats still on the water. So it's I've joined it since and found some useful information. Also, the good news is that we can shoehorn a 3-litre engine, a newer version, into this boat together with an Alpha 1 outdrive that would mate up with that engine. So in other words, this boat can be restored rather than having to clamber around trying to find parts for this existing engine, which is extremely difficult, because I have done some research on it and it's quite difficult to find, especially with this particular outdrive where there are lots of parts missing. So there we go. We've got a Shakespeare Starfire between 66 and 69. We now know we can rip that engine out and rip the outdrive off and put a later version on. And this this guy used to work for Mirror Cruiser. He was an importer into this country, so he knows his stuff. He's told me not. He wants to just remain anonymous. So thank you very much for that information. That's great news, and we can move on when the time comes. But the time is not now. The time is regarding the Nauticus. And on the floor here, you can see that I've now cut out the majority of the oak ply that we will be putting on the boat. And the reason for the oak ply being down here and not on the boat yet is we've got to sort out the upper section of the roof and get that in place, because this then tucks on the outside of the inner lining fiberglass that goes on the roof of the boat. So there's a lot of stuff that we have to do all in one go. We've still got to cut out the front, well, I've still got to cut out the front window apertures, which John's going to help me do. Obviously that's the inside of the boat on my side, and that's the bit where we'll pencil line out. Those are the two front sections of the boat. So once we've got those done, then we can then concentrate on the roof lining section. Now this episode is stretching beyond the half an hour, and when I said to you this at the very beginning that we'll be getting the lights, the horn, the main light on, and the windscreen, of course, we haven't got to that stage, because we've sort of, if we stretch this episode out too long, it's going to become boring. So that will happen in this next forthcoming episode.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. We use that a lot, that word, don't we? So, next stage, I'll quickly show you outside what the next bit is, because I've now pulled out the inner lining of the roof from one of the on the racking. So we'll quickly nip outside, and I'll just give you the SP on what I'm doing with that. Right, here we go. One half of, not necessarily the full length of the roof, because there are other components that go with it, but we're going to start with this one. I've cleaned as best I can this surface. This is the surface that we're all going to see when we look up. The white section that you can see on the back is obviously going up to the insulation that we've put up. So I've got an idea on what I'm going to do with this surface, and I'm not going to tell you just yet, because I want to see for myself whether it's going to look good or not. But if it works, it will save me a shed load of time, and I'm hoping it's going to look good as well. So all I've got to do is fill some of these holes. I don't want to pull it up too much, because I don't want anything cracking. But you can see those were where the original lights were, there and over there. That's the air vent, of course, which is obviously going to stay. This section here is half where the hatch is that we are going to be putting up on that side. And then, of course, we've got a vent, one half of a vent. And this section is towards the front of the boat, and that is towards the back end of the boat. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on now, because as I said, this has to go up first together with the other half, and then we can put the sides on, and then we're sandwiching as we go away, as we go down the boat. The lighting's already in, the cables are already in, so it's all sort of having to happen at the same time. It's not going to interfere with the windshield, because the windshield is away from this. The windshield roughly is about here, obviously on top of the boat. So that's not going to interfere with that piece and that piece. The centre sections, the fiberglass too, obviously I'm going to have to make sure that that's in place. So for now, I'm going to get this one on, the mirror image side, that one on, we're going to get those on, then we can put the panels on the outside, because it's not interfering with the middle bit. So there we go. So I think we should finish the episode there. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and I will see you very shortly in the next episode. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.